Welcome to Back in the Box, your weekly dose of discussions and stories shared about how we felt we were kept in certain boxes in our lives by society and close family members who expected us to sit in a box and stay in it. In our podcast, we aim to lift the lid on all the times we try to break out of the boxes.
I'm Em.
And I'm Z.
We are both British South Asian women and are lifting the lid on all of our personal experiences and doing so as two friends having a light-hearted conversation. And through healing, we're now in a position to be able to talk openly and vulnerably in the hope that you may also be able to resonate with our experiences.
Join us on Lifting That Lid.
In this episode, we will be discussing boxes around other mothers, our interactions with them, and their thinking around parenting and their judgments. So, Z, what was your experience? Let's start at the beginning of mums who were pregnant at the same time as you.
To be honest, I don't really have any exposure to mums in this group. You know, the antenatal classes. So I don't really feel I needed to have that sense of belonging. So I would go with my husband. We both would work from home, basically. And, you know, even during the pregnancy classes, I wouldn't really mix with anyone. So I don't really need that attention from other women. So I didn't really connect, if I'm completely honest with you. And to be fair, my husband, you know, both of us working from home, our son literally had full-time care and attention from both of us. So we occasionally go to play dates, 2-3 sessions a week. But the main focus was more for my son socialising in a wider group as opposed to me making friendships.
So what did you do when you were there then?
Playing with my son, to be fair. I was the other child.
Yeah.
So, you know, he was an observer. He wasn't a really confident kid. So I would actually just sit with him and play with him and I'll be his buddy.
Okay. And how did you help him then to interact socially? Because it is hard for young children, isn't it? Especially when they're the firstborn, not to know how to socially interact with other children.
Yeah. And some kids naturally don't want to. You know, you have your introverts, you have your extroverts.
Exactly.
Now, as I do think he was a little bit more introverted. So I just focused on him, but he was always by my side. And I understood very early on that he was an observer. He wasn't one to initiate play with other kids. And I wanted to feel that was okay. It was okay just to be like that. And I would just be his buddy.
Yeah.
So the same applied with my daughter, but she was a bit more extroverted. Like she would go off, but still at arm's distance. She would still want to be around.
Yeah.
And I know what this my parenting skills. I know I was a bit obsessed with mum, to be honest with you, thinking about it. Something, maybe they weren't introverts, extroverts. Maybe I was just obsessive. I don't know. Again, it was like less about me reading the room or seeking trends. My whole focus was just me and the kids. We would just do everything together. But what about your experience? What's that like?
I had mums when I was in the parent classes. So, you know, those antenatal classes when I was pregnant. And we just became friends through that shared experience. We used to have such a laugh when the midwives were trying to show us how to birth the dolls, the bars. Yeah. We would all be like cracking up and just having a bit of a laugh about it. This shared experience talking about pregnancy and appointments. What happened to our bits was discussed as well.
Your bits? What were your bits?
Yeah, you know, the tits and bits below. Nothing was off the table. Candid and funny conversation.
Oh my gosh, you had it all on the table.
Yeah, exactly. All of it was out.
Bits and all, eh?
Bits and all. We used to just go for drinks with these couples after the classes all together. So I got to know the mums really well. And then when we had our children, we met with them. And because we went to the antenatal classes at the same time, the children were around the same age as well. So that was really nice. Mums would get together, have a bit of a natter. Dads would get together, have a bit of the natter. Babies would play together. There was toddlers. We all socialised in a big group as well. It was a really great experience and very supportive. And I think what was really helpful was talking to other mothers and dads. We got handy hints and tips from each other, which helped to support each other. And even now, I'm still friends with one of the family and our children are really close friends as well. I was lucky enough, and I know this isn't the case very often, to be able to not work when my two were younger. And I used to take them to play groups when they were babies and toddlers, quite local to where I lived. And they were quite confident, I think, probably because they had each other. So they just used to go off and, like you say, look round, where's mom? But quite happy playing and doing their things with other children. And when they were playing with other children, I ended up talking to those mums because we were all in the same sort of area with our children. They were playing together and we ended up becoming friends and taking our children out together to different places outside of these groups and even around each other's houses. So they had that extra time and extra company there. I thought it was really important for my children not only to learn to get on with each other, but be secure and confident playing and interacting with other children as well. That was like when they were really young. But what happened when your children joined preschool? Was it different for you then?
No. Again, it was a similar experience. No friendships made, to be fair. I was really no mates.
Oh,
But no, there was probably one or two mothers who had kids who had formed a bond between my kids. But even then, the commonality was a child, and that was it, you know? So it wasn't like a friendship that developed or anything like that, to be honest with
yeah.
you.
At nursery, again, I met mothers whilst waiting for and dropping off my two to nursery and reception. And we ended up chatting and becoming friends. And this again meant that my children had extra friends to meet up with outside of school. And as mothers, we all got together with our children, socialized, and we ended up doing things together. For example, like carving pumpkins at Halloween or making Easter hats together and doing like a craft afternoon with our children. So it was really fun for the children. They used to have a really lovely time doing all these fun activities. And then one of the mums became a close friend of mine because they had grown up locally. Unlike me, I'd just come into the area because I got married and I ended up living there. I started to then build my own network. I didn't have a network of friends in the local area. And this was important for me because really at that point in time, my husband wasn't very present for me. And through the moms, I then got introduced to their friends and we ended up socializing and building a friendship outside of our children. We've stayed friends for decades and our children still see each other now that they're young adults. These mums became my social network when I got older and went through divorce. And I really, really appreciated having them around. Some other mums who I did socialize with when the children were younger then started drifting apart because you don't always get on with everyone, do you? After a bit, it doesn't always sort of like work. But in this particular instance, there was a group of three mums all together, me included in that group. And I asked one of them to look after my girls when I wanted to go back to work. So I was attending courses to retrain. At first, she was fine because our children love playing with each other. And she'd pick them up after school and look after them for a couple of hours. I paid her as well because I don't expect somebody just to do it for me. Then I noticed that she started cancelling last minute all the arrangements that we'd made. And I got a text message which she'd sent to someone else. Oh, don't you love receiving those when it's meant for someone else and it's about you? Yeah. And she accidentally sent it to me. And she was like, I'm finding it a chore. I don't want to do it. And why should I help her do this course? So as soon as I got the message, that was it. I was like, no, my children are not going to her, and I am not going to have somebody who might not treat my children well because of the way that they're feeling towards me. She might be superficial. And for me, it's really important that somebody's open and upfront and honest. If you don't want to look after my children, fine. But at least say it.
No, absolutely. I mean, that must have hurt though. How did it make you feel?
I think I got the feeling that because I was doing something that she couldn't, that there was possibly an element of comparison or jealousy, that I was doing something for myself. And, I found that in life, some people, and you probably noticed this, some people just don't like other people succeeding. I never want to be friends with people who have negativity around me or my children.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. When the kids started primary school, that's when I thought I've got to make a bit more of an effort. So it was essential for me then to actually focus on making friends.
Why did you feel the need to change what you were doing at that point?
I think it dawned on me that it was less about me. Even though I didn't really need or desire a friendship network, I still actually had to change, especially I think for my son, because it became very clear, particularly in the playground, that even if your child was not the popular one, if you as a mother were liked by other mothers, your child would get invited to parties or social events, basically. So I had to make more of an effort just to make sure that he was included.
Yeah, same actually. Yeah. The children went to parties, but actually they got invited as a whole class. So there was an expectation to be in with the mothers for that. But I just
Mm.
got to know the moms by going to these parties and just checking them out. But I went the opposite way in a way. I wasn't really bothered about being friends with any of the mothers because I already now had my own network friendship group. But I'd only meet these moms of children in their classes on a superficial level when dropping them off to their parties. But if it was sleepovers, I wanted to check them out and make sure that the parents of the children who I'm allowing to take care of my children, I wanted to see their home so I knew that it was safe, who they were about, I had their contact numbers, I knew what they did, I checked out how they were with the children and with my children before agreeing to leave them in the houses. And that was really, really important to me.
Yeah, I didn't do that many sleepovers for the kids. I had arranged them all myself in terms of
Ah,
like they would sleep at mine.
right.
Again, a bit of a control thing, but it was
Yeah.
just like, no, I didn't do a whole DBS check on people. I was just like, nah, your kids are coming to me because I know exactly what I'm going to be cooking them. I know exactly how they're going to be treating them. So it was probably slightly different with my daughter who would have a few sleepovers. But even then, it'd be one or two. There wouldn't be that many sleepovers they would actually have because I would hold all of them.
You wanted the party house, didn't you?
I was the party
Yeah.
house, man.
I did do that too. I had sleepovers over, but when children are invited to sleepovers, I didn't want them to feel excluded. So, yeah, I was like a police investigator and doing my safeguarding checks to make sure that that person whose house they were going to be in, they were going to be safe. When they were later in primary age, then they changed school. And by then I was working full time and picked them up and dropped them off at school. And whilst I was waiting on the playground, I noticed that the mums were a lot older than me and majority white middle class and not very friendly. Sort of look at you and just turn away. Everyone seemed to keep themselves to themselves, or they had little groups that they talked to and they just didn't make eye contact or talk to anybody else. So I didn't make any friends there. And that was absolutely fine for me because I didn't really mind not speaking to any mums. I didn't have the time or the inclination. I only spoke to some of the mums when I dropped the children off to play dates. And that
Mm.
stopped with especially one of the mums whose daughter started being unkind to mine at school. And I was like, nope, you are not going there. I'm not talking to that mother. But apart from that, I didn't really get involved with playground politics. What was your experience like on the playground?
Yeah, similar to yours in terms of the mothers will be slightly older, or if not older, they were act a hell of a lot older, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Again, they seem to be stuck in their kind of like Stepfordwives ways, as majority were stay-at-home mums. So there's a strong circle of mums who would just socialise together.
Whoa, what do you mean by Stepford wives here?
What I mean by that is that they all thought the same. They kind
Right.
of looked more or less the same. The primary motivations for them was like the house cleaning, making sure there's no dust anywhere. They would talk
Of
about
course.
when they put the washing out. Is it a good day? It's like, who cares? Yeah, it's just like, I'm not interested in that. Like PTA meetings, social parties. Remember those social parties, the Tupperware ones and jewelry parties?
Oh, yeah.
There were so many of them. They
Oh,
were
my.
to be honest with you, I did get like a really good pizza a plate.
Did you end up joining the Stepford wives then?
I almost did, but
You
I
didn't want
got
to
out
admit
quick.
that. That was painful to say, wasn't it?
I wanted to be a Stepford wife. I want to be a clown. I just couldn't keep my house that tidy, to be fair. I was just like, man, I don't belong here. But to be honest, I didn't really have that much common with the mums. They were just a bit judgmental, because they were comparing the kids with each other, how they were ahead on reading skills or literature. I just found it too much. And I just revert back to saying hi, bye, keeping it very high level, to be fair.
Sounds like a really competitive environment.
I think it was like more subtle competition, as everybody was friendly-ish, but it was that passive-aggressive kind of competition.
Yeah.
There was hardly any room to be different. I remember distinctly being told by one of the mums why I wore the clothes I wore. She was like, why do you wear those such bright colours? Is it because you want to get noticed? And it was just because I wasn't wearing a mum uniform or jeans and T-shirt.
Yeah, you weren't in the box, were you? Clearly, you didn't want to be in the box either.
When it came to clothes, there's no way you could box me. It was just like, I do not do greys, blacks. We do it a bit now, but not then. It was just like, I wouldn't wear heels to school run. It was just like the norm for me. I found that some of the ones had not really grown up since their teenage years at high school. They were kind of like projecting their insecurities at anyone that looked different to them. So I'd be shunned when it came to coffees or going to the pubs in the evenings. I remember inquiring about a book club and being blatantly told that I could not join as there was no room before I even asked about joining. I mean, what's that all about? I couldn't even join the book club.
Wow, how awful for you to face that. That really made sure through their comments and their actions that they were trying to put you in a separate box. You didn't fit the mold, so you were on your own.
Yep, those boxes keep coming, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And there was an occasion when I noticed a Pakistani woman who had an English partner. And I heard that she was also ostracized by her family. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's got like the same background as me because I'm Pakistani as well. And, she's found love and, her family's cut her out. And I honed into her. Oh my gosh, she was so nasty towards me. She was like giving me the cold shoulder. But, I would still go over and speak to her. And she was criticizing my eyebrows. She was like a beautician, but she was just like hone into my eyebrows and asked why I had not shaped them because it only takes a minute to do.
Honestly, you should be doing your eyebrows every single day, girl.
Just not that Stepford wife, was I? I just kept wondering why someone would notice my eyebrows. I mean, I know now eyebrows is big business, yeah, but what a feature to criticize.
Exactly.
To be honest with you, I still wanted to be a friend. How bad is that? That I still wanted that sense of belonging, even though she was so plain awful to me. I would still go around and try and buddy up to her and, suck up to her. It makes me cringe now.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how bad it was that I wanted that sense of belonging, even though she was just
Horrible just to be like so superficial with you. And man, what were you doing, Z? Still wanting to be friends with her?
I don't know. I really don't know. I was like, you kind of look like me. Maybe we could be best friends. Please be my best friend. I don't know. I was in a bad, bad state of mind then.
I think you just wanted her to thread your eyebrows for you.
You know what? It's probably the best thing to actually have a friend who can do your eyebrows. Oh my gosh. That would have been brilliant. I never even thought about that, but yeah, I'm going to use that. That was my motivation. Doesn't make me feel so sad now, to be honest with you. But no, I didn't enjoy the mothers in the playground. It was like being back in school, but harsher. I feel that if you can survive the mothers in the playground, you can survive anything. It's a bit like Bear Grylls.
And you survived because it is the survival of the fittest and the strongest, which you've always been.
And it does come with being knocked down and a few scratches, which are kind of self-inflicted in terms of being self-critical of yourself. You feel that, you're not belonging because of who you are, or maybe it's my personality, which is crazy now, as I've learned that you don't change for anybody. But being popular and getting involved in PTA, all that to me was just so restrictive. I just despised it, as I just couldn't be myself.
Oh, so you were involved with the PTA. How did that make you feel then?
I got involved a little, let's say, with arranging events for the summer fete, or thinking of ideas, But again, I just felt like being at school with all the order and the structure because there's so going into organize these things. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy it. And there's also like such high expectations of comparison and oh no, I didn't really enjoy that. So I quickly came out the PTA. But I do think there were certain mums who had high expectations and their children were a product of their success. So this was the arena of tiger mums.
Ooh, that's an interesting term. What are tiger mums like? Do they roar? Do they get their claws out?
Tiger mums, in my opinion, do not roar. They are silent and deadly.
Right.
So you do not mess with a tiger mum.
So they're snaky. Were they venomous with it?
Tiger mums on the surface mean no harm. Okay, so they think they mean no harm. They're literally there, their kids through life. On the outside, it looks like they're micromanaging their kids through high academic achievement and extracurricular activities like sports and music, regardless of what the child's well-being is. And their emotional state is not considered. It's all about the grades. So their kids will be stacked with extracurricular activities every day of the week, after school, just in the hope they would excel at something, you know?
Yeah, that's so sad, in my opinion, that they're putting undue pressure on children at such a young age. And this impacts their feelings of self-worth in the future, as it sounds like it's only linked to achievement and accolades rather than who they are as people.
Yeah, I agree with that. Remember, the thought process for tiger mums is protecting their kids' future. So it's setting them up for success. So for tiger mums, they always know best. That's what I think, in my opinion. So for me, it was just tiring watching them or hearing what activities their kids were part of because it just sounded exhausting. I was tired for them and they were doing it. I never got sucked into any of that. I just kept thinking to myself, a child needs their childhood to be absorbed with meaningless tasks, and enjoyment in whatever shape that took. And to be honest with you, I just wanted to spend as much time with them.
Yeah, it's actually time and space for them to breathe then, isn't it? Rather than just going from school to the next thing, to the next thing.
Yeah, and it was literally that. It was literally from school, go to activity, come back from activity, have your dinner, go to bed. And it was the same again, same again, same again. And the kids looked exhausted. That's just, to me, it just wasn't healthy. I just thought, no, that's just not for me. But yeah, tiger mums in primary towards the end were gearing up for grammar schools and strategies were put into place. Okay,
Right.
this was a military operation to be sure their child had a good chance of being accepted. So music was a big inroad for some of these grammar schools because sports wasn't really on the same league. I would say, particularly in the UK anyway. So kids would be playing piano, violin at a young age. They would have like strict schedules. So even though sports wasn't regarded as an entry into grammar schools, they'd still be quite competitive, like district sports. That was really competitive. So both my kids were good at sports, especially my son. So, he'd be a really good runner and would compete at district. But you would get parents shouting and screaming from the tracks.
Wow.
They would actually make sure their kids practiced loads as if they're going to an athletic competition and they were enrolled on track practice every week. It was really full on.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I mean, the track practice, I kind of like got dragged along in a way because I was just like, oh my gosh, they're getting the kids into track practice to put district. Do I need to be doing that? Because you don't feel good enough. You don't feel like you're doing much for your kids if you don't actually start doing the same as them.
Yeah.
So I would start putting my kids into those track practice, but it'd be like every week at 7:00, come rain or shine, outdoors, my kids were not committed to the cause.
Yeah, it sounds like you really championed and encouraged your kids for as long as they thought it was important and they enjoyed it. And it wasn't like down to expectations or, pressure that you placed on them. You seemed to listen to them rather than force them.
Yeah, I mean, there was an element that was a little lazy, to be honest with you. I really couldn't be bothered to get up early or sacrifice my weekends to take them to any games. I mean, that's the truth.
Oh, I love that.
But to be fair, I did get swept along with the wave of anxiety that came with the choice of secondary schools. So when I look back, remember in previous episodes, I talked about doing private tuition for my son to set him up for 11 plus to get to grammar school. because all the other mums were kind of like buzzing around this whole grammar school, which was so important. I was like, oh my God, I need to be part of this. In hindsight, it wasn't a great experience for either of us. I do remember going jogging with one of the mums whose daughter was in the same state school as me, but her son was in a private school. And she was adamant that if I did not get my son into a private school, that he would not have any quality connections to lead to a good life. So there was always that pressure from mums to constantly evaluate my choices, and always felt like, well, I kind of made myself feel like I was never good enough unless I was pushing. It was like labor all over again.
Well, I'm glad I didn't get involved in that sort of pain. And honestly, I just didn't get involved with any parent groups at secondary school level. And I've managed to escape all of what you had then, Dee. But I was too super busy with work and then being the girls' taxi after school. They did go to different clubs, don't get me wrong, but not every day, and the ones that they actually enjoyed. But I was a parent governor in their primary school, which was quite interesting to do.
Check you out, parent governor.
I know, right? Who wouldn't think it? I did, however, support the children. So I didn't do any PTA things, didn't do any meet up with parents and, get involved in anything like that. But I did just support my own children when they performed and they attended all the events. And that was the important thing for me, that they knew I was present, they were being championed and valued for their efforts. And I think I luckily, by the sounds of it, avoided all of those judgments and missed having that experience of tiger mums. Damn, not. So it's that time where we normally take a bit of a pause to reflect and give our younger selves some advice on what we have been talking about. So, Z, what advice would you give to your younger self?
There's no right or wrong way of parenting. Tiger mums and that style of parenting has led to kids being really successful academically. But to me, it was always that question, at what cost? Kids are kids only for a short time. Don't siphon their happiness at the pursuit of your own expectations. Kids are not a reflection or a badge of honor of our parenting skills or ourselves. Guidance and support far outweighs the rigor of academic excellence and A-star grades for me. They will get there, and they can with the same love and support, where if they fall short, they're not going to be left disappointing you, which can be a bigger burden for them to carry. Be easy on yourself. Being a parent is not easy. Try not to get swept up or distracted by others, insecurities and expectations. Do not compromise on yourself and who you are as a person and what you love about yourself. If people don't like you, then they're not worth your time. We all want to belong, but belonging nowhere is far better than belonging somewhere where you have to fake it or compromise yourself. Surviving the playground jungle is harsh, and I found mums to be petty and prickly at the best of times. But I remained true to myself, and even if it meant constantly being an outsider, just remember you're never an outsider to your kids, and they are the ones that matter. How about you, Em?
I would say that every person raises and does things differently for their children based on what they think is best for their child at the time. And I agree, there is no right or wrong way. If you are a mum who finds friendships with other mums, I would encourage it, as it not only builds a social network for your children outside of school, but it can also be a support network to help mums who may feel isolated or alone. And it can build lifelong friendships, as in my case. But equally, working mums shouldn't feel any guilt of not being able to do this. Children learn as they grow, and any quality time we spend with them supports them and helps them know that we love them. So social interaction is important with peers because it gives children those lifelong skills of social communication, empathy and teamwork, and can give confidence through practicing that play and interactions. If you can, it's always a good thing to try and make those situations or experiences for your children to allow them to explore and test different ways of doing things is great for their development, in my opinion. Mental health of children is more and more becoming a huge focus in schools and for us as parents. Other parental expectations, other parents or parents' own hopes of what their children should do, and also our own upbringing can influence what we do. And we need to be mindful that we do not place this pressure on our children, which can have a huge impact on them in the long term, such as anxiety or not feeling good enough. We just need to love them and support them. Thanks for listening today. We would love it if you could click the subscribe button, add your comments, and share with as many people as you feel would enjoy our discussions and stories.
We would so love to hear your stories, so email us anonymously or with your first name. Any stories about being in the box or getting out of that box. Our email is in the link below.
We can't wait for you to join us next time, where we'll be discussing children flying the nest and us letting them go. What happened? Were there more boxes? Join us to find out.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next episode. I'm so excited.
I know, we have so much to share.